Hello, everyone out there in podcast world. Hope everyone had a wonderful day. You are listening to or watching Service Business Mastery Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Tersh Blissett, sitting virtually next to my co-host, Joshua Crouch, the much older looking fellow over there. Congratulations on...
You spelt better looking wrong.
40 under 40, which I wholeheartedly believe you lied. I feel like you're 65, not 40. But no, I'm just kidding.
Matt Tyner asked me to prove my birth certificate.
Let's see the birth certificate.
Anytime
I have wholeheartedly,
I
have sworn that you were swapped at birth. Someone else, like it took you back like 4 years old and said, hey, give him a new birth certificate because it's not the right one.
I'm just hoping by the time I'm like 60 or 70, I look like I'm 50. Because everyone always thinks I'm almost like 50 now. I'm like, I just turned 40, like just this year. Some terrible genes.
Something, yeah. But we want to welcome Jenny on the show today. Jenny is the co-founder and CEO of Powerhouse Consulting Group, ServiceTitan Titanium partner, and the first FieldEdge consulting partner. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
She is nearly 2 decades of experience helping the skilled trades businesses maximize their field service software investments. Under her leadership, the firm recently launched something that's really interesting, a contractor resource planning, CRP service, offering contractors a comprehensive tech audit and tailored power stack playbook to enhance the efficiency and profitability. So you are right up our alley here with this. So welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I have been very excited to join your podcast. Of course, I've been a listener for a long time, and there's so much alignment in the topics that you speak on, the businesses that you operate for contractors, and what we look to accomplish for contractors here at Powerhouse. So thanks for having me on.
Absolutely.
We were such great hosts that we let Jenny know about 5 minutes before this that it was live on social media.
Surprise.
So, yep, surprise. So hopefully you don't screw up too bad.
Well, or I mean, you'll have to forgive me in advance. I have a gaggle of animals all around me. So sometimes a cat will walk by, a dog will bark, and we won't be able to edit it out.
That's all right. So tell us about you yourself and why build out the tech stack connector, like
why is that such a problem, or what are you guys seeing, especially since you guys are consultants on all these CRMs? You guys probably see this stuff more so than most.
Yeah, we do. So and it's changed. Technology continues to evolve, but also what's coming into the market as solutions for a contractor's business has really come at such speed over the past few years that the entire tech landscape is completely changed. Honestly, before I think most contractors have had a chance to get really comfortable with their primary FSM platform. So I'll share a little bit about my background and what led us to Powerhouse on the software consulting side, because I think that story lends itself well to recognizing the need for contractor resource planning or tech stack planning. Unfortunately, I did not make the 40 under 40 list as Tersh's introduction suggested. I've been in the trades for a while. So almost 20 years, and I've seen so many iterations of technological advancement. So like you guys, I come from the marketing side of the trades, back when we used to place ads in the phone books and it was easy. Digital marketing wasn't even a thing. But I was right at the forefront of that. So I started like right around the time that
Jenny,
contractors.
I tell people this now because like everyone's like, oh, Google's like a love-hate. I'm like, I'm telling you, in like a year or two, we're gonna wish we could go back to the day when Google was the only beast we had to conquer, because the omnipresent approach that we're gonna all have to have is gonna be. It's going to be intense. Like
it's overwhelming to
be a
think
marketer
about.
That runs a trades business, not a trades business owner that does marketing. Like you're going to have to change your approach, but that's a whole different topic for another day.
Yeah,
and the phone book days, we all miss those too, because it's like just place the biggest phone book ad in the phone and call yourself AAA heating and cooling.
AAA or A1, and they were double truck ads is what we placed, right? And that was like $10K a month, and gosh, I remember that shift when I worked for a firm that partnered with Carrier a long time ago, and we did group marketing packages for contractors, and it was the same package was sold to every contractor, and it was meant to build the brand in the market, but also give the contractor affordable space. And a part of those packages were websites, and you will probably appreciate this or not, but every website was identical. The only thing we did was switch the logo out. Same content, same layout, because like those algorithm rules
I believe it.
Right. And so we saw that first iteration where marketing became more complicated. It became technical. It veered away from just creative placement or, the AAA naming, where you had to have almost a skill set in order to be found. And we saw this consumer shift where they wanted the ease or the trust of finding and researching a contractor online. And if you weren't online, you started to lose business.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a really hard shift for contractors, because you went from being able to run marketing internally, or, maybe have like your Yellow Pages rep or something like that, to now needing to know and understand the complexity of an algorithm. And, so many jokes about algorithms.
As soon as you figure it out, it changes.
Yeah, I don't even know if the people that create the algorithm know what the algorithm wants.
I think it's all, it's all
literally trial and error.
But it was this big shift where, you could no longer do this on your own as a contractor unless you really set aside that time to learn, to build. Mm-hmm. And that's a tremendous amount of dedication. It's not that it can't be done, but it's where do you prioritize that time to learn this new skill, to be competitive in an entirely new field where your customers are looking for you, where you're building your reputation. And so we saw that first shift. And it was then building trust with contractors to help them to understand. And I've always said knowledge is power. If individuals understand what needs to be done, if we can properly set expectations, have a thoughtful dialogue, and then explain this is what it looks like, this is what you can expect, that eases their comfortability. And so we focused on that over the next couple of years. Is marketing is no longer something you can do in-house, but now think of it like a technical skill, and you want to outsource that. Then we saw this next evolution, and that was where we're going from DOS-based to cloud-based CRMs or FSM platforms. And that was like another oh my God, what about my Rolodex moment?
Yeah, F7, F11.
Yeah.
Or what's worse is nobody knew what keys did what.
You start pushing them.
Yeah.
And we didn't have, the internet wasn't as strong to have videos on how to use all this stuff back then. So you had to go find a manual somewhere or go buy one.
Yeah, or call your children. My dad's a contractor. He does kitchen renovations, and he called me one morning. We're both early risers. It was like 5 a.m. He's like, Jenny, there's no semicolon on my keyboard. And I'm like, all keyboards come with a semicolon.
Get that shift button.
Yeah. And we laugh about it, but it's an overwhelming experience to know that something that is so important operationally and from a profit standpoint to your business is not something that you keenly understand. You don't know what questions to ask. You don't know how to implement or manage. That can be a very overwhelming position for any business owner.
Absolutely.
And so when we saw this next tech wave of really ServiceTitan, I think, changed the game, offering a true end-to-end solution for contractors. There was an interest and adoption. There was a genuine intent to want to operationalize a business by using tech. And what was available then. But it's some of the same problems that we see across implementing any new technology, which is if there's not a thoroughly built out, thoughtful, intentional plan, we're going to have hiccups and roadblocks as we progress, some systematic issues, whether it's how was it implemented or set up in the beginning, or perhaps you've had labor changes, new CSRs come in and out, workflows change, processes aren't followed. So over time, it starts to snowball. And what we understood was how important that data was. What we began to understand was how important the data was in order for us to make business decisions, whether it was increased training or financial forecasting,
the accuracy of that information as well.
Yeah. And so just like everyone else who started to implement ServiceTitan, at the time I was working with several larger contractors who had implemented, and we sort of had to peel back the onion to figure out, why is the data not giving us what we need or what we can trust? And the first problem solver was memberships, right? Nobody knows what their memberships look like. I mean, it's like the never ending question: how many memberships do I have?
Yeah. And how many are active? How many were like a one-time thing and you forgot about it?
Or how many, their credit card expired and, we've been going out for 3 years since, and, so that was the big focus. And what was really interesting is you almost see it unfold, where it's this wonderful ecosystem where so much is built upon each other, starting from, the first interaction, what is your call booking workflow? That affects everything down the line. And so it was a really interesting process as we began to clean up and optimize some of these accounts. And without oversimplifying the origin story of Powerhouse, one of my contractors had an internal ServiceTitan super user, and she left the company to go to a competitor. And, we've all heard that before.
Oh, yeah.
And so he saw it as a risk to bring on another individual who held that special skill set.
I was wondering because they offer that to employees of companies who are using ServiceTitan, and I've often wondered, has that ever bit anybody by allowing employees to do this? Yeah,
well, I mean, so it's exposure. If you have one individual who knows the product, who was probably the lead on your implementation, right? So they went through all the ServiceTitan trainings and migrated the data, and that became your ServiceTitan super user. If anything happens, and maybe not even if they leave, but if it's a family emergency, something like that. So what we focus on is building multiple ServiceTitan super users, departmentally focused. So we focus on really training and building the development internally to mitigate that risk or limit the exposure that a contractor might face. But it also helps individuals specialize in roles that are important to their job function, where they can focus on more revenue producing activities instead of trying to be your call center manager, manage the inventory module.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So you want to make sure that there's alignment there. But
I feel like when we have this conversation with business owners, we say, okay, so you need a champion of that process of ServiceTitan. Let's say ServiceTitan, they need to understand it. Immediately there's that risk versus reward. All right, me as the business owner, do I have to be that champion? Does that mean that now I have to learn ServiceTitan inside and out, or do I hire someone to do this? But then what happens if they leave and they have all this information and blah, blah, blah. And so then it becomes almost a stressful conversation of what if scenarios. And you brought up some really valid points there.
Yeah, and so that's precisely what we build out for contractors, is developing that implementation plan and assigning key stakeholders who will own certain parts of the software. I don't think it's ever a great idea for the owner operator to be owner operators
maybe know enough to be dangerous, but probably not be the main person.
Yeah, well, and for a lot of reasons, you want to know what it is, what it does, and
Mhm.
you want to know the data that's coming from it. But, an owner operator has so much else that they focus on from running the business, that it would simply be overwhelming to really
Yeah.
know ServiceTitan or any platform that intimately. And so you have to rely on your team, right? Your A players,
Honestly,
making sure that you're investing in their development.
I couldn't imagine having to learn ServiceTitan from the beginning to the end right at this moment. Because whenever we onboarded with them in, I want to say like 17, there was a lot to it, but it was nothing like it is today. And like I look at it now, even with like an update comes out whenever we get sent an update, and I'm looking and I'm like, I just could not imagine starting fresh right now and not knowing anything about the inside of this program and trying to figure it all out. Like,
Yeah.
that's just mind blowing to me.
Yeah, it is. It's incredibly mind blowing. And I'll share a personal example from Powerhouse. My partner and I were quite literally software experts, software implementation. I mean, that is what we do. We built an entire company and served hundreds of contractors. We outgrew our payroll software last year and chose to migrate to a full HRIS platform. And that was, it was a big investment, it's a big move for the company. And we went in knowing, how do you build a plan, right? How do you, who's doing what? How are we migrating the data? Who's going to set up, performance report processes? And so we had this plan, but what we realized is we weren't experts in that particular platform. We were not certified in that platform. We don't monitor their release notes or stay on top of their updates. And so here we are almost a year later. We migrated in September of last year. We're still finding little surprises like, oh, didn't know it could do that, or, oh, that feature costs extra. Man, I wish I would have known that in the sales process.
Not for the team that actually knows how to understands how software typically works, especially like a CRM and stuff. So, I mean, if that's not your cup of tea, and honestly, a lot of people, I see that in the Facebook groups where they're like, hey, what about this software? And honestly, most of them these days, there's so many features and they come so fast, especially with I'm sure some of these coding teams that are developing this stuff are using AI. So they can code faster now and they can launch things faster. There's just so many features, like just to try to keep up with that and to use the full scope of what's available to you is tough. It's really tough.
It is. Yeah.
And that's just one software to run your business.
Yeah.
I mean, we all know, I have no idea what the average is, but I would guess most companies have 10, 15, 20 different softwares that they probably operate different things for different use cases. And that's in field marketing, operations, HR with applicant tracking systems and stuff. Like there's just so many things out there. And then none of them talk together.
Yep.
They're all in their own little buckets and nothing works cohesively to talk to one another.
Yes. And that brings us to where we are today with Powerhouse. So we launched focusing specifically on ServiceTitan, back to my buddy and client who was in the tight spot. And he said, can't I just outsource ServiceTitan to you? It's less risky. I wouldn't be bringing on a full-time employee. And it made a lot of sense. So that was the catalyst for launching Powerhouse. Was there was such a need in the market for that level of expertise with the software. But another really important part is trades expertise.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, it's one thing to know a software, but if you don't understand the trades or a contractor's business, you're going to have a very limited view of what can.
You don't understand why they want this to connect. Like, why does that even matter?
Right.
That makes a big difference.
Yeah. And so my partner and I, we both come from the trades, and that was tremendous when we first launched because contractors were able to leverage both sides, both, well, how do other contractors build it out, or help me to anticipate, what do I need to look out for? What if I sign up or implement this module? What does that look like for my team or my business? And so that we carried that as our hiring best practice. So Powerhouse is very much a trades organization. But so very quickly, like we came in, grew with ServiceTitan, ServiceTitan, of course, focusing on traditional mechanical, electrical, plumbing contractors, on residential. And now the software today, as you stated, Tersh, looks completely different, not only in the features and functionality, but also the segments of the market that we're serving. So we've been able to grow with them, and that's been such a great experience. But then, as you just pointed out, I would say really in the last like 2.5 years, we have seen an absolute explosion of third-party tech integrations that are offering solutions, and awesome solutions. I mean, the level of innovation is really impressive, and what we can now leverage with all of these, AI solutions, or it is really upping the game for contractors, engaging with homeowners in the way that they expect today, just like 20 years ago when we built a website, when customers wanted to engage that way. But what we're seeing is it's a shaky foundation that we're putting all these tools into. And so if a contractor is not keenly aware of what's available in their FSM or ERP, the core of what they're paying for that's running their business, they could be buying tools that are redundant.
And I see that a lot too, where you're like, why are you doing this?
The same thing, right?
Yeah. Like you have 3 subscriptions here that all do the same thing.
Which one I see the most common, and maybe it's because I'm on the marketing side. They have Marketing Pro, and then they have Chirp or Hatch, and then they sign up with us, and we have a messaging platform. So they have 3 messaging platforms that all.
And they're a trained
for all of these things.
They're a trained comfort specialist, so they get Podium for free or no extra charge that they forgot about, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I forgot I have that one as well."
I think marketing is one of the more egregious products. I mean, we've identified several that are overlapping, but this is actually where a business analysis comes into play. And so what we've designed in contractor resource planning, or CRP, is first a business and budget discovery. A business discovery is imperative because, you might have a case where you want Marketing Pro and Hatch or Chirp. I'll give you a great example. We're working with a contractor out of Australia, and there's a limitation in SMS messaging through Marketing Pro in Australia. And so we thoughtfully have to bring in this other app in order to fill that current gap. And so we do a cost benefit analysis when we're going through that business discovery of where's your company at today? What are your goals, your growth goals, expansion, vertical, new markets, or simply just selling more maintenance agreements. It could be something as easy as that, but really understanding what a contractor needs and then evaluating their tech stack against that. So what do you need? What do you currently have? And then we can audit and confirm, do you have the right tools in place? Do you have redundant tools? That's a big one. Are you double paying? Or do you have tools available to you in your FSM that you're not using, that we could utilize that before we bring in another paid tool? So it's a really thoughtful approach to building a tech stack that makes sense for a contractor, as opposed to, I'm going to buy the next shiny object, or, this tool sounds really cool, or I read about this one on Facebook. But really ensuring that there's an intention behind the plan. So that's number one. But then number 2 is, what is your implementation strategy? And this goes back to what we were talking about earlier. So it's one thing just to identify the tools that you need, but if there's not a plan to implement and to build it out, who will manage it? Who's going to review the data? There's these great sales coaching AI tools, and they're phenomenal, cutting down on sales managers' times, ride-alongs, things like that. But if you have the tool and your techs are using it, but nobody's watching the data or coaching toward it, right? So then the second part of that deliverable is, let's make sure you know how to implement this. We'll put together that strategy, assign key roles and ownership, and then tell you how to manage it on an ongoing basis. So you have this like playbook and implementation strategy for your tech.
So how often do you run into it, a situation where the company that you're speaking with, they're not even on CRM at all so far? Like they have no tech stack at all.
Fewer and fewer. I'll be honest. That's fewer and fewer. But I actually did just have a conversation with it was a territory manager for one of the OEMs, and he wanted to call in a contractor who is apparently quite a large residential contractor in his area, and they are still 100% pen and paper.
Yeah.
And he's like, so like
we ran into someone who was he had like 23 techs or 23 employees.
Yeah.
We had a kind of a discovery call to talk about how we can help them like streamline stuff and do some automation and some other things. And we kind of almost fell over our chair because they were no flat rate pricing.
Nope.
No.
They don't price it on the job.
Like, they don't even, they weren't even.
They don't send an invoice from the job. Like the office does after
they
the
would
fact.
invoice them like 3 days later after a virtual assistant looked up the prices, marked them up, and sent them. I'm like, hang on a second, is this 2020?
No quotes
or 2005? Like, this is,
and that's not even the kicker. They still use a pager for their after hours calls.
You know, it's funny in our breakouts and our presentations we put a picture, like we share like where the trades have come, and we share a picture of a pager and like Zach Morris on Saved by the Bell with the cell phone and some of those other things. And we always get a bunch of laughs because Church is, when he was his first place he was at on call, like he had nightmares about like waking up to missing a page.
Yeah.
And most people laugh, and then we run into this guy that was like, yeah, we still use a pager. And I'm like, what? Like, what are you doing, man? We have moved significantly beyond the capabilities of this pager, and things can be extremely instantaneous. But it was interesting nonetheless.
Gosh, I think that's such a great example of change management too, and why, you know, so I actually still use my pager code on a lot of my, like, you need a 4-digit code, and I use my beeper code.
That's hilarious.
I don't, because it's comfortable to me. I know it. It's something I remember. I don't have to think about it. So if I'm on the phone with like T-Mobile, I'm like, oh, beeper code, you know, and I'm able to give it to them. But so a lot of what we do, and, you know, planning tech, optimizing ServiceTitan, building a tech stack, all of that is really, really cool. And we're specialists in that. We're certified. But really the heart of what we do is change management, because none of that matters if the teams don't buy into it, if the owner operator doesn't understand it. You know,
so you're actually going in and coaching the team essentially.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And that's a big part of it is breaking down the resistance to change. And a lot of that is just, it's the fear of the unknown. So, well, if I move away from this beeper that, you know, I've had for probably like 30 years now.
At least.
So if I move away from this, well, then I've got to implement this behemoth of an FSM platform, and I've got to learn that. And I read on Masterminds, it's a nightmare. And so surely it'll be a nightmare for me. And, you know, and so that's kind of, so we have to break that down, or helping cross departments understand the why. Gosh, that we raise adoption so much just by helping to paint the bigger picture of what does it mean for you to close out a job in the field? Like, let's walk you downstream what that means.
There's so many times, like our technicians, where I've been with them in the field and they're like, yeah, we'll get that later. And I'm like, it seems like it's not a big deal. And I understand your thought process, because I immediately thought the exact same thing. But let me explain to you why what you're wanting to do at this exact moment creates a royal pain for the office. And they're like, yeah, but they're just sitting in the office, they're not doing anything. they really are doing stuff. Like the perception is they're not doing anything, but they really are busy doing things. Because
Yeah.
we wouldn't have somebody that didn't do anything. Like we wouldn't just pay somebody to sit there and do nothing. So like once they're like, oh, okay, I get it. So like if I skip this step, it really does create a pain point in the rest of the process. And then like something as simple as putting equipment in, like, yes, it takes a few minutes to put equipment information in. And there's times where I'm like, all right, we got 2 more calls. Let's go. Like we got to go. And they're like, no, we got to stop and put this equipment into the system. I'm like, let's get it and let's go.
Like, dang it, I made my own processes.
Yeah, absolutely. But then like I totally get why they would skip doing it. And then later on, we'll look at a job or we get to a job and we've been there 5 times and there's no equipment in there. And we're like, this is why. Like, or they'll have 3 systems and we don't know which system they worked on because the equipment's not matched up or they didn't match it. Yeah. And so then we're like, see, this is why we need it. Like this isn't even office related. Like this is field related. So imagine the things that can happen in the office as well. So I wholeheartely get that. What do you tell people as AI is moving in and you have like AI voice and like I've talked to clients and they've said things to the effect that like the owner of the company is all on board with using AI voice, but the employees are like, the people here are in their 60s and 70s. They're not going to talk to somebody on AI, and that's their perception. They haven't tested it or anything. What do you say to something like that? That's immediately they put up that wall.
Yeah, and AI is scary.
It can be.
I remember some of my early conversations about it, and I thought, nope, it's fictional. It's not going to happen. Mm-hmm. But I mean, here we are living it day in and day out. And so again, it breaking down those barriers is helping to understand the WIFM, what we call it here, the what's in it for me. So if we can help a CSR understand the value of an AI agent in enhancing their productivity, allowing them to focus on more complex calls or, I don't know, unhappy customers or close appointments, AI can be utilized as a productivity enhancer. And if we can explain that and show or break down the fear that it's not going to take over your role, rather see it as a gift to enhance it, to free up time, to give you more insight or knowledge, then we can typically gain adoption. From a homeowner standpoint, I think that's a valid concern. I think you're always going to have a portion of the market that's going to be reluctant to AI. And so as a business, you want to have options. Mm-hmm. I don't think we're there yet where we can have 100% AI chatbots taking our calls. We do need, actually, I don't know if we'll ever be there. That's a whole other thing we can talk about. Will AI completely replace some of these departments? I think one of the cool things about our industry is we are so people-centric. Yes. Whether it's the customers that we're serving, the homeowners, or the individuals that work in the office. And so I don't think AI will ever completely take these roles, but it's important as a business owner to diversify because you want options for your market, and you are going to have older generations that don't want a bot, that want a live person.
Yeah, I think that's the perception that, and this is my belief, not a scientific study or anything. The perception is that these AI agents are going to potentially replace individuals, and so then as long as they can hold out and resist, then they're good. They're safe with their job. But in reality, it's enhancing your job. If you're not using AI to help the redundant tasks, the things that are just monotonous work, that's busy work for you, then you will be replaced. You will. But if you use it as a tool to help you become a better CSR, a better dispatcher, a better whatever it is that your position is, then you adopt it, and then all of a sudden you're a hero almost.
Yeah,
And so
it's
it's the best case scenario for you if you'll just be an early adopter to it.
Yeah. You said something that I think is really important, and that is if you use AI as a tool, and this is something that we see not just with AI, but really with a lot of the tech is um, I've started to refer to it as perceived efficiency, where contractors are buying or signing up for all of these products, whether it's ServiceTitan or, some of these awesome AI tools, signing up for them because they understand what it can do, right? They see the value that is presented in the marketing or that their buddy told them about. So they understand technology equals efficiency. Technology will increase my profit margin. But
if it's used,
Or it
and
could just be
that's
bloated
really
overhead.
the misconception is I'm going to buy it and it's going to fix all of my problems. But the misnomer is it takes work. It takes work. You have to implement it, you set it up, you train, and then once you've done that, you start all over again because they released a new update and so it's this living, breathing tool that needs to be monitored and nurtured. It's not, some of it is set it and forget it, but for the most part, you don't want to do that. You want to treat your tech as a team member. This is something that you invest your time in, that you get to know, that you understand, that you grow with. And if you can look at it like that, it does become an efficiency producer, not a profit killer.
So
but having
when you do that, are you or your team, somebody setting up meetings as if you were like a CMO, but you're actually a CTO of a fractional CTO of the company where you have a monthly check-in type thing?
Absolutely. Yes, that's exactly how you can think of the team at Powerhouse. And we designed it intentionally that way. My past life, I was a fractional CMO. Okay. And that's how I knew to work with contractors is I knew I have to become an extension of their business. If what I'm going to do is to be effective. I have to know their business. I help them anticipate changes as it relates to them, understand if one aspect of your business is underperforming, how are we going to shift our strategy? Same concept with your tech is because it's continuously evolving and it impacts so much of your operations. It's important to have an extension of your business that not only understands that tech in the industry, but most importantly, understands your business. And so that's how we designed our services, is where we're not only on the ServiceTitan side, for example, auditing, building a plan, building out price books or whatever it is, but we're also
that's a never-ending process right there.
I know. And then you've got all these different tools for price books too. And but we're also, what I like to say, we're their eyes and ears on the account. And that's not just with the primary FSMs, but hey, I just learned about this new tool. I think it could solve one of the problems we're talking about. Like, those are really important conversations.
How would you possibly stay how would you possibly remember every client's potential problem? So whenever you come across a product like this, you're like, oh, that would solve so-and-so, that would solve Mr. Smith's problem over there. And you're like,
yep. It's how we built the business, how we built Powerhouse. One thing that's unique about us is capping the number of contractors that our consultants work with, because we have such deep and extensive relationships with them.
That makes sense.
We do have a team of specialty consultants. So like you said, Serge, price books are never ending and nobody has a good one. So it's like one of the biggest projects contractors come to us for: price books and inventory.
Oh yeah, I can imagine.
So we have a team that focuses just on that. So if a shop just needs us to build a price book or implement the inventory module, we have a team that can do that. But we have a team of are fully certified ServiceTitan consultants, and we cap the number of contractors that they work with because of the importance of that business relationship. And they have to have the capacity to manage the accounts on top of the work that they're doing in the accounts, the build out, the trainings. And so on top of that, we have internal processes where, for example, our CRP team, this is our team that does our tech stack planning and evaluation. They're continuously meeting with our team of ServiceTitan consultants to educate them on the new products that are in the market and help them to understand this is how it works in ServiceTitan. This is how it works in FieldEdge. These are the benefits. Why would a contractor want this? So we have our
That's
own
a full-time job on itself.
It is. Yeah, it is. It is. And it's necessary, because we have to have that intentional level of knowledge so that we are articulating the proper solutions to contractors.
Yeah, absolutely. Josh, you got anything? Oh, we're kind of a little bit over our time a little bit, but
no, I think the next frontier and that's why we started Trade Automation Pros is all this stuff is to streamline tech. Tech is going to be, we're all going to be tech companies that do services.
There's so much.
Streamline all of it, make it talk together, optimize. Like, there's just so much that's going to be going on there. Now, for people to get deep inside of their CRM, I know there's stuff that we're still uncovering. We use HubSpot and ClickUp for task management, and this is for Relentless. There's still stuff that we struggle to find, and we've been on HubSpot for almost 3 years now. But HubSpot, like ServiceTitan and
massive.
Salesforce, it's just a massive. There's so many features, you just can't possibly stay on top of them. So if you really want to implement something and learn how to get it all the way implemented, so you can actually use, because these programs, HubSpot's no different than ServiceTitan. It's not cheap. No. These things are very expensive. So if you don't utilize them, you are just wasting your own money.
Yeah.
That's the nicest way I can put that.
And we are running HVAC companies and we're running plumbing companies. Hiring someone like Powerhouse is going to be in your best interest. Sure, it's another expense to the line item, to your P&L, but you can focus on plumbing and let the experts focus on the technology side of things.
Yeah. And I think that's the way that the market is going because of how complex and overreaching technology is. It's not a benefit to know it at that level. Internally, there's a lot of risk associated with that. But quickly, and I know we're over time, but I think you said something really important that we focus on. A giveaway, I guess, to your listeners is start to think about your tech budget, because that's something that most contractors don't plan for. The tech budget is just arbitrary. It's whatever these tools cost is what I'm paying. Mm-hmm. But Josh, you'll appreciate this on the marketing side. Contractors have marketing budgets, and those marketing budgets correlate with their growth goals. So, that whole 5, 7, 9% of your budget rule, and I think it's probably a little different today, but
a little bit more.
So you're allocating a percentage of your total revenue growth goal to marketing to help you meet that goal. Think about your tech in the same way and allocate a percentage of your growth goal to your tech, because your tech is helping you achieve that growth goal. So we know
what percentage is the good percentage.
So it ranges 3 to 6% is what we find on average. And that's really for SMB contractors. It's much different if you're looking at enterprise or private equity. But for SMB, look at about 3 to 6% of your total revenue goal and allocate that toward your tech budget. That's a great starting point. So evaluate all of your spend, add it up, and see where you're at. If you're only at, you asked this question earlier for a contractor who doesn't have anything. Well, if you want to compete in your market, you're going to have to up your spend. What tools are you not using? What features or enhancements could benefit or streamline your operations or help you to close more business? But if you're wildly spending, which unfortunately is more the case, if you're at like 15%, then we need to evaluate and we need to think like, what do you have? Is it serving a purpose? Let's run the cost benefit analysis. What's your return on it? Is it something you're already paying for? This is where we get into removing the duplicative spend. So that is a helpful starting point.
Now
if you're wondering like, what's the health of my tech stack?
Yeah. Now that's including what you're using already, or like, correct. That's not like every year we should be spending an additional 3 to 6%. Like that should be your total amount.
That's right.
3 to 6%. Okay. Now, last question that I have for you, how has the VC PE world coming into our world changed things for you and the tech stack in general?
What it's changed.
I know that's a complex complex question, but
yes, we do serve, we have a sort of a niche specialty in working with that enterprise market, because it's just a totally different level of complexity.
Yeah, it is.
Because you're thinking about now multiple layers. Mm-hmm. So let's take an M&A business. So you have the platform company and they're going to have their own tech stack. Yeah. So, you get into conversations. Let's go back to ServiceTitan. So do you have a tuck-in model? Do you need to go on the enterprise hub? Once you've identified that, are you centralizing services, your call center, your marketing? And there's a thought process that goes, well, why would you want to centralize marketing? Do you need enterprise hub if you want to centralize marketing? And so you go through that thought process at the enterprise level, but then you also have to evaluate the tech stacks at the location or the subsidiary level, because here's where you're going to have to trim down redundancies, tools that aren't supported by the platform or don't provide value, or you may need it depending on that company's build out. And so it's a completely different evaluation process, because we're not looking at one single company or instance. We're now looking at more of a network and developing an operational strategy.
Is there ever a time where the M&A group or whatever group comes to you and says, hey, this is their tech stack, yay or nay?
Yeah, definitely.
Is it really bad? Are we going to have to spend a lot of time, effort, and money to get them onto our platform, and it's not worth the investment into that company?
All the time we're brought in during the diligence phase. Gotcha. to run that analysis, because that's factored into the valuation and the total deal. What does that lift look like? Yeah. So we're brought in quite often, first to evaluate if they're on primary FSM, ServiceTitan or FieldEdge. We evaluate that setup. How well are they using it? Most contractors really only utilize a portion.
A very small portion.
Yeah, like 30%. And which is alarming, because you pay for 100% of it. Mm-hmm. And so we first evaluate that. So where's the opportunity there? What is the investment going to look like to roll that company up into the operational strategy? So whether it's rebuild or training, workflow development, but then also evaluating the tech stack. So what tools are they using? What are they not using? How much is it going to cost to bring on more licenses? So we're brought in quite often a pre-sale to evaluate and provide that information.
So FieldEdge is acceptable to have as FSM whenever you're going in there. I'm just asking. The reason I asked that is because, for us, one of our pain points is an open API, and we don't have any access to FieldEdge's API. So when people ask us questions about building out automations, it's like, sorry.
Yeah.
If you can send an email, we can scrape the email data, like the information from your email. But if it's just pulling API calls, we can't do that.
Yeah, and I know there's a lot of changes coming with the
We've heard that too.
API. Yeah, so I think that should get more partner friendly. Mm-hmm. It's a great product, and it certainly has its limitations, like any software. But That's a lot of it is understanding what the software can do and then identifying how you're going to fill those gaps. So I'm asked that quite often. Well, which is better?
Yeah.
And neither really. It's all in how you use it.
If you're using 1% of ServiceTitan, but you were using 90% of FieldEdge, that makes a difference.
Yeah, definitely. And so, it's being confident in the tools that you're using, understanding the cost to change, the cost to flip to new tools. And we see that so much, not just in software, but, everything is replaceable now, right? So
Sure.
Oh my gosh, I had one bad month on marketing, I'm switching marketing companies.
Oh yeah.
So it's really trying to develop that trust and understanding of, what can it do, setting the expectations and then making sure you're getting the most out of that partnership, because they're all partnerships.
Yeah.
The companies have to work together, understand each other to develop the best outcome.
Absolutely. Jenny, where's the best place for people to go to learn more, connect with you, and ask questions they may have after the fact?
Yeah. So we love answering questions. We're very much educators here. So reach out to us anytime. Our website is mypowerhouse.group. That's mypowerhouse.group. When you're on there, we do host a series of office hours, both Powerhouse powered office hours, and we do a couple for ServiceTitan as well. Those are completely free and great places for contractors to get in, sign up and get to know us better. Or if they just have quick questions about their software, they can log on there. So all that can be found on our website, as well as our contact information if they want to reach out one-on-one.
Cool. Sweet. We appreciate you hanging out with us today.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me on. It was a fun conversation.
Absolutely. We could talk for hours, days, probably. I know. If anybody has any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to Jenny and her team. If there's anything that Josh and I can answer, don't hesitate to reach out to us as well. We'll put all of our contact information and Jenny's contact information in the show notes. But with that being said, I hope everybody has a wonderful, safe week, and we'll talk again later.
Bye, everyone.